So yesterday on the live stream that Duke and I did, there was all sorts of topics discussed. One such topic was about strikers. There was a lot of names that were being batted around. I mean, let's face it, we was linked with more strikers than Arthur Scargill in the January transfer window. Kids of a certain age are looking at this and thinking, who? Google is your friend. Anyway, so let's have a look at some of the names that we were linked with in January. So Adam Plosek of Sparta Prague, Abdallah Sima of Slavia Prague, Ivan Toney of Brentford, Adam Armstrong of Blackburn Rovers are the four that we were most strongly linked with. Oh, and Yusuf En-Nesyri of Sevilla. So those five were the ones that were touted mainly. There's a chance that we could go for one or a number of those again in the summer. But there's one name that's been linked with us in recent days, and I put this name to the other three guys in the stream yesterday. His name's Tammy Abraham, the Chelsea forward. Now, Tammy Abraham, for me, ticks a lot of boxes. He's 23 years of age, so he's still yet to hit his prime. He is English, and he has scored goals in the Premier League. Now, that is something that those five names that I've just mentioned, none of them have a pedigree of scoring goals in the Premier League. This guy does. So that is a massive advantage that he has over those guys. Now, when I suggested the name Tammy Abraham, the other three guys in the chat had a little discussion about it. Two of them in the chat said yes, they agreed with me, and Duke was a slightly different opinion. He's heard stories about Tammy Abraham having a slightly bad attitude around the training complex at Chelsea, and he's not too sure whether he'd fit into our current team ethos, the sort of like the good spirit, the good vibe that seems to be around at West Ham at the minute. And I agree, we need to be careful of that. There's no doubt. We don't want a bad apple coming in and sort of like spoiling things. So absolutely agree with him on that. But I'm not too sure that that's actually the Tammy Abraham that I believe that we would get. My manager is actually an Aston Villa fan. Now, I had a word with him because Tammy Abraham was on loan from Chelsea to Aston Villa 2018-2019. And I asked him if there were any stories about any unrest in the training camp with Tammy Abraham's associated with it, any rows that he had with the manager, anything like that at all. And he said, absolutely not. No, it was no problem. There was no stories that have came out at the time or have leaked out subsequently to say that he was a problem. Not only that, but his performances on the pitch, albeit at championship level, but his performances on the pitch were exemplary. He said he was the sort of striker, he would be closing down the opposition, he'd be causing a problem, he'd be an absolute nuisance, he'd be harassing, harrying, he'd be full energy, full commitment, which is exactly what we as West Ham fans want in any player that walks through the door. That's the first thing we want: 100% work rate, effort, commitment, with a little bit of skill thrown in. Now, he said that he has that as well. He can finish with both feet. He's pacey, not lightning fast, but he's quick enough. He's decent in the air. And as I say, he's 23 years of age. He's 23 years of age, so he's not yet hit his prime. So if we're going to follow this Red Bull model of getting in young, up-and-coming players with a view to sort of like training them on, getting what we can out of them and selling them on for, profit, start again, that's fine. If that's the way you want to operate, that's fine. Well, surely this guy's a prime candidate for that, isn't he? 23 years of age. He scored goals in the Premier League for Chelsea. So, absolutely, this is a guy we should be looking at. Now, if he has got a little bit of a questionable attitude, a questionable temperament, well, that's where David Moyes comes in. He's a manager. The clue's in the name. He is there to manage. He is there to put an arm around him if that's what he needs, or give him a kick up the backside if that's what he needs. I think he could get the best out of Tammy Abraham, and I think he fits into our style of play absolutely beautifully, because let's look at it. He is a younger, stronger, faster, and less injury-prone version of Michail Antonio. So as for anyone wondering, well, is he going to fit into our style of play? I think he would. And for me, when we're getting an overseas player like the likes of Sima, Hlosek, or En-Nesyri, we have to be careful, because for every Diafra Sakho, there is a Simone Zaza. And if you want to dip it into the championship and you want to go for Armstrong or Tony, again, you need to be careful because for every Jared Bowen, there could just be a Jordan Hugill.